welcome to the channel. It's so great that you are with us either this morning or this evening, wherever you are in the world. I am much appreciated that you are here and that you found my page. I've got an amazing word that I think is really going to speak to your heart. And so I hope you'd stick around all the way to the end. I've got some really exciting things on this topic that is going to relate to each and every one of you. So please stick around to the end. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you think. Tell me other topics that you might like to hear. But without further ado, let's just get into this thing. It won't take us very long, and I think you'll get some good study points. I think you'll get some revelation from this. It's really awesome. So obviously I called this Destined to be a Warrior, and just keep that in mind as we read through this. We're going to go all the way back to the tribe of Israel here, and it's one of the most overlooked tribes, and that is the tribe of Gad, which is I absolutely love it. When I begin to read into this and do the research on it, Gad was absolutely incredible. They were set up by God to be this elite unit, and it's absolutely incredible. So we're going to start. Who is Gad? Obviously, Gad was the seventh born. That's right, I said the seventh. Yeah, I found that really cool. That's where I started. He was the seventh born of Jacob, which is really cool. His mother was the maid to Leah. Obviously, we know that story of Rachel and Leah. And he came from the maid Zilpah, who was there. And then it says, obviously, that the symbol of the tribe of Gad, and you can go and look at this too, and I'll put this up on the screen, but it's a symbol of 3 tents. And in many depictions of this, that middle tent has a cross going through it, and I found that really cool. It actually reminded me of you obviously have the 3 crosses when Jesus died. He was in that middle cross, and it reminded me of that. And so Gad actually has a really cool meaning. And that first part was found in Genesis 30:11, and I'll put that up on the screen. It says, "And Leah said, 'Good fortune has come.'" Whenever they were being born, this is when Gad was being born. And she said, "Good fortune has come." So she called his name Gad. And Gad actually has a 2-part meaning. The first one means to be a troop. And a troop means to crowd upon. That is to attack and to overcome. And we'll find out how prophetic that is throughout the tribe of Gad throughout time. And the second means fortune. It means to attack, to overcome, or to gather together. So what Leah saw, it says, good fortune has come. She saw this troop coming, and she says, "Oh, it's our lucky day. Good fortune is here. This troop has come." And they were together. It was a group of men. It was not an individual. And so she called him Gad, which is really cool. We obviously know that was a prophetic utterance, as we see throughout the Bible, that there were many. This group was a battle-hardened warriors. They were the warriors of Israel. God built them into an elite force, into an elite tribe, and they were obviously the captains or the leaders of Israel. They were the ones to train and to lead and to teach in the ways of battle, and they overcame every enemy that they faced. I don't know, maybe I missed something, but I don't know of a mention in the Bible where they were actually defeated. This was also prophetic that Gad's name, meaning troop, that they would be overtaken by a troop that we see in the verses Genesis 49:19. And basically in that saying, it says that they were the only one that was going to defeat the tribe of Gad would be the tribe of Gad. And what do I mean by that? I mean that it says that only a troop would be overtaken, that would overtake them. Well, their name obviously meant a troop. And so they were destined to be overcomers, which means that the greatest enemy to them was themselves. They were the only ones that could overtake themselves. And that is so relevant to us in the fact that we give up right at the cusp of victory. And so the only ones that could overtake the tribe of Gad were themselves. They could only defeat themselves if they got that in their minds. And there's more on that in just a few minutes. Just follow along. So let's skip on down to Numbers 32:16. it says, and I'll put this up on the screen, then they came near to him and said, we will build sheepfolds here for our livestock and cities for our little ones, but we will take up arms ready to go before the people of Israel until we have brought them to their place. And our little ones shall live in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until each of the people of Israel has gained his inheritance. For we will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has come to us on this side of the Jordan to the east. And this is when they were speaking to Moses. They were saying, hey, we want to settle here on the east side of the Jordan River. And Moses shut them down because he had the impression that they were not going to go into the promised land, into Canaan, and help take over these cities that were there, that they were going to stop short and leave this group behind. And they said, no. We're going to actually go in first. We're going to be some of the first ones to cross over the Jordan, and we're going to lead you into battle, and we're going to take these places over for you so you can gain your inheritance. And then we're going to settle on the east side of the Jordan River. So Gad, along with Reuben and the half tribe of Manasseh, they knew that their place was at the entrance to the promised land. They said, this is our inheritance. So something built up within them, something that God gave them built up, and they knew that their inheritance was on the east side of the Jordan River. And if we see that, we know that they were actually the gatekeepers for the promised land. This is really, really amazing. For anyone needing to come into the land of Israel, they had to pass through the gatekeepers. They had to pass through the warriors, the elite force, the squadrons of Gad, Reuben, and the half tribe of Manasseh. Man, that is really, really cool that God built it in such a way that people would have to build up the nerve to pass through the fiercest of the fierce, the men that could overtake anything. They were the overcomers. They were the warriors of this day, and they were widely renowned to be that. So let's continue. And if you're liking this video, if you will, go ahead and like, please. And subscribe or drop a comment and let me know how I'm doing here. Let's continue. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 12, and we're going to read verse 8, 14, and 15. And this is really the meat and potatoes of where I want to go with this. And it's really, really cool. So stick around. All right, so verse 8. From the Gadites there went over to David at the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty and experienced warriors, expert with shield and spear. And it says whose faces were like the faces of lions. This is the second reference to that. The other one we see in Deuteronomy 33:20. And it also says, and they were as swift as gazelles upon the mountains. If you ever seen gazelles, they're extremely fast. They have to get away from cheetahs and lions and all this stuff out on the safari. And it's really interesting that how fast and maneuverable they were. So in the physical realm, in our realm, they were the mighty warriors. They had developed a very high reputation to be the fiercest, the most courageous warriors in this day. They were the elite of the elite. They were the SEAL Team 6. They were the commandos. They were the Marines. They were the head honchos in this day. But also in the spirit realm, these men were so highly anointed that their faces shone like that of a lion in the spirit realm. The enemy knew not to mess with the tribe of Gad. Let's skip on down to verse 14. It says the Gadites were officers of the army. They were the trainers. They were the leaders. They were the one that made the important decisions on battle plans, on what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, how we're going to strategically surround the enemy, how we're going to overtake them, what we're going to do post-attack. They were the leaders of this. And it says that the least was a match for 100 men and the greatest for 1,000. These are the men who crossed the Jordan in the first month when it was overflowing all of its banks and put to flight all of those in the valleys to the east and to the west. They were some of the first ones to cross over. They were the leaders of this movement into the land, into the promised land after coming out of the wilderness. Could you imagine, like I mentioned, the elite squadron, such as someone like SEAL Team 6, taking out 1,000 men per person? 1,000 men. Imagine that, taking on 1,000 men. There's been no one that you've seen in history that has done this. They would be on every news channel across the world. They would have the Medal of Honor. They would have medals from across the world. They would be widely renowned. Everybody would know their name. That was the men from the tribe of Gad. And that was the mighty. It says the least would take on 100. Imagine 100 men. We can't wrap our minds around that. That is absolutely God. Only God could do something like that with man. So you probably haven't heard this, this is really where we're going here. Elijah was a Gadite. God needed a prince. He needed a captain. He needed someone of courage, a man of courage to stand up in the days of Jezebel, to the wicked queen of Jezebel. So God sent a man from the east side of the Jordan River. And he did it to shake the kingdom of Ahab and Jezebel. And he did. He took on the prophets. He killed the prophets of Baal that were there that Jezebel had caught on. And we know that Jezebel obviously worshipped Asherah. That's where this spirit came from that was in her. And obviously, we know that Elijah eventually, as I mentioned before, that it says that only the troop would be the ones to take over Gad, to be an overcomer there. And the only ones that would defeat them were themselves. Well, we know that Elijah was a Gadite, and the one that defeated himself, or the one that defeated him was himself in this moment. We know that he ended up running, but that obviously led to his purpose and to his destiny. So don't let that throw you off. So the spirit of Jezebel must be shaken again. As I spoke on the tactics of the enemies a few days ago in a previous video, which I'll link that in the description. We know that those tactics are still in play today. We still know that the devil is doing the same thing that he was doing then through Queen Jezebel and through Asherah and through this worship of false gods, to the sacrifice of children on the altars of Baal. These things are still prevalent through abortion and through transgender, through homosexuality. We see that through sexual immorality, pornography, through this murderous spirit that's in our land today. We see these different spirits rising up, and that this spirit must be shaken again. The Bible says that everything that can be shaken will be shaken. So we know a shaking is coming. And so we know that we are supposed to take on this spirit of Gad, that we must shake the kingdom of darkness. And so God sent a man from the east side of the Jordan to shake this kingdom of Ahab and Jezebel. And so this is where I want to go, to the men that may be watching right now. And this is for everybody. So, and I know that there's moms out there that are having to play both roles, that are having to be the man and the woman of the home. And this is for you as well. We must be on the watch. We are called to be watchmen. We are called, to be the leaders of the household. We are called to walk under this spirit of the tribe of Gad. We're meant to be overcomers in this day. We're here for a purpose. We are here for such a time as this. We are called to be on guard, to stand at the entryway, just like Gad stood at the entryway on the east side of the Jordan River, that nobody could come into the promised land until they came through the warriors of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. We are called to stand at the entryway, to block out, to speak out against the enemy, to not allow that to come into our household. As it says, we are, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That is because someone is standing at the entryway. Someone is being the gap man. Someone is standing in the gap of the doorway, of the threshold, to block the enemy from coming through the door. That's who Gad was. That's who that spirit is. And that's that spirit that needs to be on the men of the home, of the women that are acting in the man's part, because the man left and didn't do his job. These women, that we're called there. We're called to be that in that entryway, to be that first one to go over. So we were called to be the first ones into the battle. Just as Gad led the charge to conquer the land of Canaan, we too are called to go in and to attack and to shake the kingdom of darkness. And lastly, we were meant to be overcomers. When you become a Christian, that doesn't exclude you from the attacks. If anything, it only intensifies the attacks. However, the difference is you are no longer alone in that attack. You are no longer going into battle by yourself. You're linked up, just like a chain link fence. If there was only one chain, it wouldn't work. But when you link them together, it becomes a mighty force. It's hard to break. We are linked together when we take on this spirit of the tribe of Gad. It brings on a linking mechanism. It brings it together. That's the part of that meaning within that name, that we are linked together in warriors, as warriors in the spirit realm. So we are called to rebuke. We are called to cast out. We are called to tear down. We were called to breach, to overcome. We were called to break through every stronghold that the enemy puts forth against our families, against our friends, against our church, against our own homes, against our own minds, against our own bodies. We must stand up to the enemy and put a shaking into the boots of the enemy. Just like the tribe of Gad did, we must be known. We must have a reputation. The church must develop a reputation of being known in the world, not to be messed with. And so I hope this can help you today. I hope this can help build your faith and to know to not give up, to not give in, but instead to be an overcomer today. And so God bless you, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.